James was born in the province of Nova Scotia, the fifth of 7 children.
Yeah, this is just sort of the
Some more research we've done.
I think the preview that they always do of what's coming up,
Happens to be.
because
You can see
this seems like it's jumping in the middle of the story.
both Jim's and his.
No,
It's
he's
family.
so many siblings. So these are his parents.
There you go.
And they were married the 31st of July, 1825. Matthew Richie to Louisa M. Nichols.
So now you know her name.
Is Louisa? There's loads of Louise in my family.
Is it right? So maybe the name continued on.
Two very Nova Scotian names, Richie and Nichols.
Comedian Catherine Ryan has made a name for herself in both stand-up and on panel shows.
Say panel
She pulls inspiration from her daily life, including her daughter, Violet.
It's Catherine.
She tells people, "My mummy hides wine in the walls."
But the walls sign.
Oh, so you.
She was born in Canada, but now lives in Britain.
May I approach, Michael?
You may have.
So, yeah, she's pretty funny. I guess I do like the wine walls. Good description of a wine rack, I guess.
Approach, Michael.
One of my many talents is that I can spot wealth in a man. I wasn't a comedian in Canada. British people thought that they inherited Canada's finest comedian. No, you got one of their worst waitresses. Hello. When you watch nature programs about Canada, there'll be salmon fishing, or they'll see bears. They'll be climbing mountains, doing beautiful things in Banff and Lake Louise and all the bits of Canada that we'll put on the poster. That is not where I'm from. I was born in Sarnia, Ontario, which I always say sounds like Narnia, but with more sandwiches. We,
Okay, I don't get the more sandwiches part, but Sarnia is an interesting community in Ontario. It's I think very, if I'm correct, a very industrial community. Factories, a lot of factory work there, I think, if I'm correct. It's outside of Toronto, going southwest, not quite towards Windsor, I believe. I'll have to look at a map just to make sure. Why do I? Okay.
the biggest petrochemical plant in all of North America.
Petrochemicals.
I hate the Arctic, apocalyptic cold of Canada. It's too extreme. So I love that the UK is rainy, mild, and I enjoy the dreariness of people. I really enjoy that people don't speak to you in public. I love that about British people.
Okay. I kind of agree with her. Especially since it's the middle of a snowpocalypse. Especially since we're in the middle of a snowpocalypse right now. If I was to show you a picture I just took the other day of me standing in my driveway with a wall of snow. Maybe I'll bring that up and put it on here when I edit this. Anyways, I don't know if I've talked to many people from the UK that are big on the dreariness. They joke about it, they tolerate, they live it. I guess they are happy that they don't have as drastic winters, definitely, that we do here.
Thank you.
Cute dogs. 3,
Catherine
4.
has made London her home, but her English-born daughter Violet won't let her forget she's Canadian.
Violet is very English, and she pulls rank. She'll correct my Canadian accent all the time. She'll say, "Oh, I'm very sorry about my mommy. She's Canadian." And it's like, I just sort of naturally defer to her. It's the accent, really.
She needs to teach her daughter to smarten up. There's nothing wrong with being Canadian, eh?
I would like to be accepted by the upper echelon of British society. Sure, I would like to find a buried castle and some gold, something that's going to put my daughter in her place. She is the English rose in our house, and I want to show her that I've got something besides Canadian, something that perhaps my daughter Violet will respect.
Okay, you need to teach her to respect the fact you're a Canadian. Canadians are great people. That's all I'm going to say about
Come
that.
to Toronto, Canada, because I felt like I should talk to my mom about her family, where they come from, because that's most of the mystery with us.
Catherine is looking for English roots to share with her daughter Violet. She knows she won't find them among her father's ancestors.
I know all about my dad's
Okay,
family. It's like once upon a time, Tipperary, the end, are just super Irish, and I love them and I know where they came from.
But English ancestry is a possibility on her mum's side, as Canada was once a British colony. So many Canadians have Irish, Scottish, or English roots.
don't forget the Welsh.
It's fun that I've known my mom my whole life, and she hasn't told me really where her family's from. I don't know why families wouldn't have these chats. It just never came up. We were very busy. I had a lot of lessons when I was young. I was overscheduled. My mom was driving me to gymnastics, singing, piano, jazz, tap, lyrical, ballet, musical theater.
That is a big problem. A lot of people don't have those discussions when they should. And I got to thinking, part of it could be that her mom never discussed it with her mom. So it could be just that, you didn't have that, they just didn't discuss that thing. So even if your mom did discuss it with you, she might not have had anything to tell you.
Catherine's mum has done some work on their family tree, and Catherine is here to find out what she knows.
Hello. How are you? Oh, I'm so happy to see you. Come in. What are you taking in your coffee these days, Candy? Milk that's not milk. I have fake milk.
Milk that's not milk. I guess that doesn't come in bags.
Whenever Catherine comes to Canada, she orders poutine, a traditional Canadian dish of chips, cheese curds, and gravy.
Okay. It's fish and it's French fries, not chips. At least in Canada, we call them fries still. Chips, we mean what in England you call crisps, I guess. I guess that actually shows sort of what you inherited from your ancestors, is that a lot of things, I don't believe potato chips probably would have been really too popular until my parents' generation. I think it's when they became mass produced, and we call potato chips, and that would be the influence of America coming through. That would be the influence of American coming through TV and commercials and stuff. Whereas there's a lot of things that we still use the proper British or terms for in Canada. So that's actually sort of a way our ancestors' history impacts our language, our everyday language. And Canada has that sort of neat middle. You see a lot of, if you watch TikTok or YouTube Shorts, you see a lot of times different videos come across few how on Canadian measurements, how we're in the metric system, but there's still a lot of things we measure by the imperial system, and it's not consistent. For instance, the measure of temperature, we'll use Celsius, but the cooking of food we'll use Fahrenheit most times. Yeah, I guess those just have influences of what you're listening to. Whether I guess you listen to more locally, so you get that Celsius thing. But when you're talking about recipes and stuff, often you're looking at books that are published for the larger market in the United States, so they would use the imperial measurements that they use in the U.S. It only makes sense.
You needs vinegar. I have vinegar. How much do you want? All of it.
Vinegar on poutine.
People really don't know how good it is. In America, I ask for white vinegar. I'm like, you gonna wash the windows? So thank you for digging out these photos. There's Ted, your dad, my dad, your grandfather. He wasn't the nicest father.
My dad would just refer to women as goddamn broads. Like, keep the broads off the golf course. How could you be so stupid? You're useless.
Why did my grandma Dorothy want to marry him then?
Well, she just saw the charisma and the charm.
And we call her Dorothy just because she didn't like the word grandma.
Well, it started as Grandma Dorth,
Oh,
and then it just got shortened to Dorth. Grandma Dorth and Grandpa Ted. It's funny because Dorth was actually your first word. You were only about 9 months old, and I was looking at pictures with you, and you just looked at one and went, Dorth.
I'll call Dorothy up on the landline.
You called her up at night. I would go to bed exhausted, and then you would get up in the night and phone her. And you'd say things like, hello, Dory. They're asleep. I think I can talk now. And she would chat with you and always tell me the next day.
Yeah.
You were very close to Dorothy.
I loved my grandma. That was really hard for me when she died, but I was 15, so I was kind of too cool to go to the hospital and stuff.
Yeah, often a grandparent is really the first experience a lot of times we have with death that we have now. I guess that's some really, I guess, positive more about our generations. We don't have a lot of the maladies and illnesses that would cause younger deafened people so often, and even people working in the industry or where they're working don't have as much of those accidents as either. So often it's your real first experience with death is because usually at that point you're a teenager or older, and it's the first real close person that you have, and you're just on that verge of sort of semi-adulthood. So
I don't think we look alike, but people have said that to me.
Yeah, a little.
And you don't know where she's from.
She was born in Toronto.
Here.
Yeah.
Where's the rest of Dorothy's family after she got married?
You know, the weird thing is, we always were so focused on the McCarthys, we hardly ever talked about Dorothy's family. And it used to make her mad. She'd go, why doesn't anybody ever care about my family? We never talk about my family. But Ted's energy really set the tone. When Ted was around, it was all about Ted.
And she and her mom were close.
Oh, yes. You never met Nanny. She's your great-grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Her name was Beatrice Adelia Silk. But she was beautiful and elegant, and she had shoes and hats and gloves to match. And she's the one person who made me feel really special.
Yeah. And then what's this? You made a family?
Oh, I made a little family tree so that you could see. This is what I know.
Beatrice Adelia Sill, and then she married
Frederick Carr Knight.
Frederick Carr Knight.
Yes.
So I'm related to Jimmy Carr, potentially.
Beatrice, I'm sure, was born in Montreal.
And you don't know anything about my great-grandmother's mother?
Nothing. Anytime you look any of this up, it sort of disappears with the women because you were certainly a daughter of a man until you became the wife of a man.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So her mom was Clarissa Richie, and her parents, Emma Louise Nicholson and James Arminius Richie. What is Arminius as a middle name?
I have no idea. I don't even.
okay, so I'm trying to think. Arminius. The only time I've heard Arminius is used, as I've heard it used as a surname, and I'm thinking of Jacobus Arminius, which is kind of an obscure person, but he would be, well, he was from Dutch, I believe, and he was a contemporary of around the time of John Calvin in the Protestant Revolution, and were Calvinistic, believe in predestination, and Arminius had sort of different views on that. So you'll hear people talk about Arminian theology if you're talking in church circles, and has nothing to do with the country, Armenia. It has to do with Jacobus Arminius, and he was a theologian. It's a lot of Anabaptists, like Mennonites, would be considered Armenian in a lot of their beliefs. Baptist churches, you either have Calvinistic or Reformed Baptist, and then the majority of what we call Baptist today would be more on the Armenian side. And then then you'd have sort of Lutherans and Anglicans, which are, I want to say more tied to sort of some of the Catholic heritage, and then you'd have reformers, Calvinists, like John Calvin obviously is a Calvinist, and then you have like Knox, so you'd have the Presbyterians, some of the independent church movements that came to North America by Scottish ancestors, because they'd been disassociated with the Church of Scotland, sort of developed some other things alongside their theology, but would essentially still be very Calvinistic in their approach to the Reformation and Reformed theology.
Arminius. I've never even heard of it.
The mother's tree takes Catherine back to her 3 times great-grandparents, Emma Nicholson and the unusually named James Arminius Richie. The mother's tree takes Catherine back to her 3 times great-grandparents, Emma Nicholson and the unusually named James Arminius Richie.
Tell them my mom really misses my great-grandmother.
Sort of, that's the same way I feel about my grandmother, but we're very stoic around each other, so we don't get too upset.
The women in my family have pretty common names, and I think if you look up like Emma, Louise, Nicholson, there will be 50 of them. But James Arminius Richie, that sounds unusual, and I think hopefully there'll be some documents, or maybe I can search online and find out more about my great-great-great-grandfather.
That is a really good strategy when you do have people, and I run into this a lot when people are especially researching their Irish and Scottish history family. There's so many repeated names within the family, sometimes it's hard to know which person's the right person. So if you do have that person with a unique name in the family somewhere, being able to make the connection to them sometimes can solve some of the other problems.
That can't have been an old name. I've come to a cafe. Hopefully I can use the Wi-Fi, get a few minutes to search this. James
Arminius. She goes to Richie. Okay, ready? James Arminius Richie for James Arminius Richie books. Fragments and verses by James Arminius Richie. Oh, this looks like it was the 1800s. Oh, I just want to know about who, but it keeps trying to sell me the book. Do you know why? Because I'm such a consumer and my computer knows that I will buy something. Mostly poetry? Oh, the people at this bookstore believe the work is culturally important. It's pretty cool that James Arminius Richie is a poet, which is sort of like an early rapper. And I'm very good at rap. So I like having a poet mythically his artist. So maybe we can go to a library. So like his poems. Because online they just want me to buy his poems. And they're not going to hustle me and get for free in the library.
I use libraries a lot, especially open library if I can. I can find a lot of good documents that help me with my genealogical research.
Catherine's come to the Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library at the University of Toronto to live for her 3 times great-grandfather's poetry. She's meeting head of rare books and special collections, PJ Cathell.
My gosh. Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well. So beautiful in here.
It is.
It's like being in Beauty and the Beast.
Or Harry Potter, some people think.
You have the first edition poetry book of my great 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 grandfather.
Nice. You do, and it's a pleasure to show it to you. So come see it.
Yes. How long did it take you to read on?
James Arminius Richie. This one was printed at Montreal in 1857. One of the poems that he writes is this,
Onto my
which is now introducing you to your next generation.
Oh yeah. I forgot that I'd be related to his mother.
Yes, exactly.
So
It's funny how you do the
Giles Richie mother would be my great 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 no great great four great grandmother.
So if you think we're in 1837.
And he wrote this when he was 20. 20-year-old boy writing about small and sleeping. Okay, to my mother, to her who more than all I owe, of life its joy and amorous flow, these notes with grateful strength arise. Oh, may she not the filial pledge despise. Filial, like son, because in French, I feel
That's right.
bilingualism.
That's right.
It's good.
Yeah, came with it.
Okay, so he loves his mom. He's grateful. And he wants her to always let him kiss her son. But I, desponding, still must own that only downward have I flown, have left the bright and peering day to sink in my relentless feebleness away. I mean,
So what does it tell you about your grandfather or your great-great-great-grandfather, do you think?
that I would not have understood a single word he said. And that also he loves his mom and he's trying to make his mom proud, trying to be a good person. He's like, reflective.
He's a very reflective person. So here now, you're looking at the portrait of your great-great-great-grandfather, James Arminius Richie.
I mean, I feel like he looks handsome enough.
Do you see yourself?
Well, I don't really know what I look like naturally anymore. It's that ship was sailed, but it's nice to remember.
PJ has found more writing by Catherine's 3 times great-grandfather, before his book of poetry was published.
Well, we've been doing some research. So this is a letter that he writes to his mom. Dear Mother, Port Medway, dated the 4th of February, 1855.
I don't know what Medway is.
It's Nova Scotia.
So Port Medway is down towards Shelburne, so it's possible that her ancestors were possibly loyalists. There's a lot of loyalists down the way, but Richie is an Irish name too, I believe. How does that's about RITCEY? So yeah, we'll see.
8. Look at his handwriting and my mother's handwriting. We are a family of
Good calligraphers.
good calligraphers.
Very good calligraphers, yeah.
And the D, actually, my grandma, Dorothy, with the D,
Yeah.
would sign her D. Great.
Similar to that.
Really like that. Yeah, that's so funny. Okay. Dear Mother, things stand as I expected, and I am convinced will be increasingly so. I like that way of speaking. I'm going to start just,
In a Victorian.
yeah, I'm going to be more jaunty, I feel. Okay. I acknowledge that I wish a commission in the army.
That's correct.
And then I think were
I,
Dr. Richie, I could get a son,
I could get a son 1. So Dr. Richie is his father.
so he thinks his dad could get him a commission into the army. He wants to be in the army.
Because this is the time of the Crimean War. So a lot of young men, like every war, think this is my chance to go and mix up the.
I mean, it's the Forest Nightingale.
And it was difficult to join the army?
Yeah, if you want to do a rank of officer, you would make a pingment, because commission is to an officer's rank.
And were he Dr. Richie, he could get a son 1 without a great outlay. I would be satisfied with 150 cash. This is fair. At least it is a fair offer from my part. Is it not? It's very persuasive.
He's trying to be.
He's like, this is
Here
fair.
are the arguments here. Exactly.
I'll tell you what's fair.
Exactly. Yes.
I'm your mother. If not anything at all. He's like a lot of kids.
Yep.
Like, what? I can eat chocolate for breakfast.
That's it.
Okay, all right. If not,
He sets the bar high, as he ought to, and then realizes, okay, I'll take it down if I need to, but we're going to start the negotiations here.
okay. I like it. A hustler. It might seem natural for me to wish to visit you before I depart. The opposite is the king. That's how I feel all the time. That's so funny. It might seem natural for me to wish to visit you before I depart. The opposite is the case. Oh, that's so good. See, I would get that on the t-shirt. That's the poem. Yet I am not hard-hearted. I love some dearly, so just some dearly, all better than I am loved. Aww.
Does not have great regard for who doesn't feel that he's loved.
Well, he was 18. So that's me, just being dramatic.
Could be. And he wants to go away.
And he wants to go away. He's having a little tantrum, a really Victorian poetic tantrum.
It's a beautiful expressed
Tantrum. Is it you? I don't. And some of you love me, but no so much as I love you. Your affectionate son, J. Arminius Richie. And he's underlined it and been all squiggly.
There's one last bit down here.
Mrs. Richie?
Mrs. Richard D.D. It means Doctor of Divinity.
Oh.
So that tells you something about his father, because
Dr. Richie is a doctor of divinity.
that's right. He's a Methodist. So he's not a medical doctor or anything like that. He's a doctor of divinity.
So is Mrs. Ritchie a doctor of divinity as well?
Because she's taking her husband's surname, the DD goes in with it.
Sure. So you get your husband's title as well.
In a sense.
Did my 3-time great grandfather James ever go to war?
No, he did not.
No. Of course not.
No. And as you can see, he is wearing a clerical collar. So they are the typical parsons.
I call it.
A 19th century Canadian minister.
And then he just made time for Paul.
In his spare time between writing sermons, that appears to be what he would do.
Well, he's very handsome.
He is. Handsome vicar.
Yeah. His dad was a doctor of divinity,
James eventually found his calling,
hence the name.
like his father, in the church. James was born in the province of Nova Scotia, the 5th of 7 children.
So one research we've done here, which shows you who this family happens to be. So you can see the brothers and sisters of James Arminius.
He also has so many siblings. So these are his parents.
There you go.
And they were married the 31st of July, 1825. Matthew Richie to Louisa M. Nichols.
So now you know her name.
Is Louisa. There's loads of Louise in my family.
Is that right? So maybe the name continued.
It's my middle name.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There's your connection. Before you leave Toronto, we want to take you one last place that's associated with the Richie family.
Okay.
PJ is taking Catherine nearby, on the University of Toronto's campus. Victoria College is one of the oldest educational establishments in Canada.
I would like to introduce you to your great-great-great-great-grandparents.
Ah.
Wow.
There's Matthew and Louisa.
They're so young, aren't they? I think they're beautiful.
Portraits of our ancestors going this far back just don't exist for most ordinary people. Especially that's the case here in Canada. I think it's a colonial backwater. It's extraordinary to be able to look into the face of an ancestor.
Yeah.
He looks like anyone that I know. I think they look like my family. We certainly all have really white skin, really long faces, big eyes. I mean,
I was going to say large eyes, yeah.
they actually look related. They look alike.
I thought the eyes looked a little similar, maybe painted by the same person.
Yeah, maybe the painter has the style.
And look at her title.
Mrs. Matthew Richie. We lose our names. And this university owns those portraits?
This university does own the 2 portraits, in large part because what we have on the title beneath the painting.
First principal of Upper Canada Academy?
That's right. So Upper Canada Academy eventually became Victoria College. So your ancestor was the first principal of the institution you're standing in right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so a very important figure in academic history in this part of Canada.
That is really great, actually. Really cool.
He's a very important figure within the Methodist tradition.
Methodist, yeah.
This his short history of the Wesleyan Methodist Church in Halifax in 1858. He was elected president of the Methodist Conference of Eastern Canada. That gives you the connection really between your family, Halifax, Port Medway, Nova Scotia.
Is that where my great grandparents were born?
That I can't tell. We don't know.
So we don't know if they were born in Nova Scotia, but we know that they worked and lived there.
Yeah, I do not know where they were born, but certainly the trail leads you back to Scotia.
I know now that Matthew Richie, DD, was a very prolific Methodist first president of this university, or what would become this college. I don't really know much about his wife, though. This is Matthew Richie because her name's not even on her painting. But they were important people, important enough to have portraits. And that is the kind of high-class ancestry that I'm going for. I need to move up in the world backwards. And I hope that when I go to Halifax, I didn't know we were from Halifax, but when I go there, I hope to learn a lot more about my ancestors and how the family got to Canada.
That's interesting is, yeah, you're not aware how, a lot of people aren't aware how much connection they have to Nova Scotian people who, family had been in Ontario for generations. They, if they don't do the research, they don't know. It's one of the things when it seems easy for her on a show like this where she has a budget. I'm sure they have a budget to take her places and go places, but it seems easy, and it can be, but somebody had to do some of that hard work to make those connections, and it is work, but you can do it without having to go physically to all these places. These shows, that's the downfall of them sometimes, is they leave you with the impression you need to go somewhere, and it does help, because often there's records you can find that you, unless you go in person or have somebody in there and there in person looking for them. In this case, she has somebody who's looking at these places because they have them lined up ahead, so somebody could easily have been working for her and just communicated to her from wherever she is, which would be equivalent to a person hiring a professional genealogist like myself. But also a lot of these records are available online. So let's see what else we have.
Catherine is flying east to Halifax, the capital of the province of Nova Scotia. She's on the trail of her 4 times great-grandparents, Reverend Matthew and Louisa Richie.
I think it's funny that there's Pizza Corner. It used to be a place when I was in university. There was a pizza place there, but it's still there, Sicilian. There's a pizza place over here on the other side and on here, so hence it came the name Pizza Corner. It was, and basically downtown Halifax, and the bar scene was, well, down this road, down towards the water, out towards this building here, where you're in town, a little bit up here. You would have that, yeah. So coming home from the university, no matter which university, you usually congregated at Pizza Corner someplace, and late at night it was a busy place.
To find out about Matthew's work in the church, she's meeting historian Renee Lafferty-Solani.
Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Catherine. It's my name. Hi, very nice to meet you today. Come on up, okay?
They're meeting at a church on Grafton Street in the city.
Okay, this is St. David's Presbyterian, which is unusual. They're meeting at a Presbyterian church if he was Methodist. Well, there must be some reason. Maybe he was a Presbyterian minister first, but I don't think so. Decent.
Thank you, Renee. So this is the Presbyterian Church of St. David's, and this building is built on the site of an earlier Methodist church, which was one of the oldest churches in the Halifax area. So I have something that I want to show you that is connected to this church. Thank you. The Rev, Dr. Richie, so much cooler than the Reverend even, delivered an excellent and appropriate discourse to the young on Tuesday evening at Grafton Street Church. Is that this church here? Yes. Oh, big gig. The congregation was very large, the church being filled to its utmost capacity. We trust the design of the Reverend gentleman will be fully realized in impressing the youthful mind with the necessity and advantages of personal piety. It's a good review. Seems like he smashed the gig. 5-star review. Okay. Halifax was one of the bigger settled areas in Nova Scotia, but most of it is rural, most of it is settler communities. Preachers would often travel around in what they called circuits. They were sometimes called saddleback preachers, and they would travel around the countryside, often on horseback. This is an image from 1867 of what were known as saddleback preachers. So this particular image sort of intended as a little bit of a caricature, but I think even in it you can see that itinerant preachers were, for many people, very romantic characters in the Gothic sense of romantic. Something that would step out of the pages in Jane Eyre. Riding a horse, saddlebags and a brolly. That horse looks despondent. Yes.
That horse was like, I did not sign up for this.
Oh. They would preach on street corners. They would preach in factories, outside of mine shafts. So you had to be powerful, you had to be convincing, you had to be soulful. So you're a performer, right? So you with me. So my great-great-great-great-grandfather would have done that here and elsewhere. Yes. Well, if you would like to know more, we can go to the Nova Scotia archives.
I enjoy that Matthew Richie was an entertainer. Handsome, charming, brave, would tour all around on horseback. I have a horse. Useless to me. I don't ride it to gigs, but I might start.
Matthew's work took him away from home for weeks on end, only able to keep in touch with his family by letter.
The archives.
This is what I wanted.
The archives of Nova Scotia. Spend a lot of time there and still go there when I'm in Halifax regularly to work for clients. So
See, this is an early 19th century version scrap.
Oh, wow. Cardiphonia was that?
Utterances of the Heart. Ooh, Letters and Poems by Matthew Richie. So Matthew was writing Liddy's romantic letters, and then she's putting them in the scrapbook to remember. She's copying them into the scrapbook. So this is her handwriting. Screenshotting steps. Yes. Yeah. Okay. We're going to just move ahead a few pages.
I like how she kind of put things in modern terms.
1825. As for me, you are entwined around my heart.
I must say, London a bit, where you seem essential to my happiness. Yes, even death under the aspects of immortality would be preferred by me
To the disappointment of my hopes. Hopes which I trust will soon be consummated.
Oh, my most bounteous God, how hast thou, directing me by thy counsel to a person as my partner in life, whose heart thou hadst impressed with thy grace, whom thou hast arrayed in the garment of modesty.
Is he asking her to marry him or just sort of saying she's marriage material? He's actually talking to God in this part of the letter. And he's saying, I'm unworthy wretch. And you have given me this woman who is not only modest, which is, the best feature of her sex, but she is also, basically, she is strong enough to handle being the wife of an itinerant minister. It was very smart, I think, to consider what would make a steadfast partner. I don't believe people do that anymore. They just think, oh, I fancy that person.
July 4th, 1825. My dearest Louisa,
I did not find access to your truly affectionate letter before this morning. You request me, somewhat unreasonably, I think.
Slow down. You don't have to write whatever's in parentheses, you can probably take out. There's no need for that sass, I feel.
Somewhat unreasonably, I think. And you know who acts like that? His son, James. Later on, is also like,
Nobody likes me. That's fine. So now we know where he gets it. The parentheses.
the little, you request me, somewhat unreasonably, I think. No one asked me to think. To destroy it immediately. Persuade me, however, that by so doing, I shall evince a stronger affection for you than by keeping it in scrupulous preservation and star. I think that's the bit on that dog. No, he's saying in scrupulous preservation and
The promise to destroy it. That's a swear word.
no, I don't think so.
I feel like I know what my great-great-great-great-grandfather read, and he was like, I'm not going to destroy the letter. Yes.
It is. Yes, he is saying that he's not going to destroy the letter.
But now when we use curse words, we put little asterisks in place of them, and he basically invented that. Yeah.
And think about it, though. I'm going to keep it in scrupulous preservation and the promise to destroy it. So he's asked him to destroy a letter so that he will miss her more?
No. I think that she's asked him to destroy a letter that she wants to destroy because it was not so modest. Possibly. It's very hard to know. But the way that letters operated at the time is that when you received a letter from somebody, it was something that in many occasions would be passed around or that you would read out to people because it's news, and people would visit each other to see what had come in the mail and what letters had received.
Yeah, that's something a lot of people don't realize, because especially when even the process of getting a letter was something. It's not like the instantaneous messages we get today, or even the regular mail that we used to get before the internet took over. When you'd have the letters from your grandmother and your cousins and stuff, but it was even more so. They were very rare, even rarer, probably about as rare as a written letter from somebody is now today. But we get communication so many other ways. We don't need the entertainment of reading somebody's letter or the news, because there's so many sources.
So I think that she's written something to him that she feels has compromised her modesty, perhaps.
So my great-great-great-great-grandmother wrote something potentially saucy that she wanted to destroy.
These people must have lost their minds when they actually got to get married and have sex like every day. Yeah. Because they had about 40 kids, all of them. How can you be so turned on by a letter and then deal with the realities of physical intimacy? Well, like, do you see what I mean? Yeah, I do. It's a bit late. The letters are very, very passionate. They are anticipating marriage. Yeah. They would know what's coming. They would know what. Yeah, they would.
The women didn't know.
They would have known.
You think?
Yes. Who would tell them? Who would say? Mothers. No, she's got a very prominent grandmother and aunt in her family who would have prepared her certainly that this is what marriage is going to be like.
How in this language do you say,
well, Richie's not going to talk to her about that.
I know, but I'm imagining the grandmothers and the mothers using this language to be like,
Oh, hark, blessed daughter.
On the E, they can't explain it. It is one of the giant silences in the historical record. Very often, women's voices are not there. And those intimate domestic conversations between mums and daughters, between sisters, between aunts, between grandmothers, those things.
Okay, I don't mean to be defensive of the whole male gender, but a lot of these records, these intimate conversations that would have been had between father and son, aren't recorded either. That she even has this much detail on somebody, because these letters were preserved and archived. Most people's third, fourth great grandparents might not necessarily have these letters preserved. So I don't want to say put any light on the fact that yes, women are misrepresented in history, but on this sort of this point, I think generally the interpersonal relationships in the family don't have a lot of records of, because it wasn't recorded. It wasn't even recorded in film like we do now, where you would have pictures of different events, because, well, not only was there no film, but even the periods when there first was film, to get a photograph done was a rarity. Even when I was younger, you take photos, but you'd have to wait for it to get developed. Maybe you get the 1 hour photo, but usually you go the 7-day photo, unless it was something you were dying to see right away. And you didn't take as many, we didn't have as many pictures and records. So I think we're spoiled in this generation thinking that we have all this documentation. Facebook messages are saved. I mean, I'm starting to get messages now. This person messaged you as memories, and I have no clue what the conversation was about. So
Things don't get recorded, but they're not so different from us. Louise is not so different.
Okay.
I think she's right.
Know that you're interested in finding out where your first family came from. And we do have these that came out of the United Church Archive. So this is the one here that we thought you would find interesting. From August 28th, 1840.
My love, I am now in the town that gave me birth and surrounded by many who knew me and whom I knew as a child. All classes crowd the chapel in which I preach.
So he's preaching in Hamilton, County Donegal. Do you have a place around here named that? Or is that Ireland, Donegal?
It's born in Ireland. Oh no, because all my dad's family were born in Ireland. I could not possibly be more Irish. Louisa was born in New York.
Catherine's 4 times great-grandfather Matthew was from Donegal in Ireland, and Louisa was from New York. In her search for English roots, Catherine will have to pursue another branch of her mother's family tree.
And I do have a family tree to show you, right? So we know my maternal grandparents, my maternal great-grandparents. So when you trace back from Frederick Carr and Beatrice Adelia, my great-grandfather's side, you come to these two, Giles Hosier and Grace Newell.
Yes. And they were in Newfoundland. And I think that that's where you need to go next. Okay. And they are my great-great-great-great-great-grandparents. 1700s.
I have to see many examples of positive marriages in my family. I'm really happy that Matthew and Louisa were important Canadians, Methodists, who seem to be very gentle people in a good relationship.
Yeah, that's something to be positive, and that's something that unfortunately for her, but it seems like maybe it was lost in generations. She didn't have good examples. I'm interested though very much you're talking about Irish family and you're going back to Newfoundland. So often from Newfoundland, it's Newfoundland often, especially in the outports of Newfoundland, you tend to have a lot of Irish that populated it for one time or another, unless they were more of the merchant class of Newfoundland and St. John, or in some of the towns like Harbor Grace or Bonavista, where you'd have some of that merchant class might be tied to England. So it's possible she might get something back where she wants.
Before embarking on this journey, I did not expect that far back in my family would be Canadian. I didn't appreciate that my family actually had quite a significant hand in creating some of these communities.
Still searching for ink.
So here she is connected here through Dorothy Knight. Dorothy Knight is met. Her father was Frederick Carr Knight, whose father was Matthew Knight. Mother's was Louisa Beer, whose Matthew's father was Thomas Knight, and his wife was Mary Augustus Richie. And you look up this family, you go to Beatrice Sill, Adelia, Edgar Sill, Clarissa Richie, Emma Nicholson, James Arminius Richie, and so she is, well, you have down here, you would have cousins, so they would be, their common ancestor would be there, so these two, so you have her parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, so they're third cousins. And they're marrying. It happens more than you know, and the fact is he was from Ireland, and his sister, I'm assuming, is probably from Ireland as well. Well, Matthew was, sorry. So, but she was in Nova Scotia, and we're talking about a family in Newfoundland that then gets married down to them. It's interesting. Sorry.
English roots. Catherine is following a different branch of her maternal family to another part of Canada.
Funny they don't mention that.
Great-grandparents Giles Hosier and Grace Newell lived in Bonavista, Newfoundland, in the late 1700s. The island of Newfoundland is Canada's easternmost province and was the nearest port for ships sailing from Britain to trade in the vital 18th century commodity, cod. Cod fishing put Newfoundland on the map, drawing many people from Ireland, Scotland, and England to settle here. To find out about her 5 times great-grandparents, Catherine is meeting historian Angela Duffield.
Thank you for driving on our Canadian Gross Road trip. You are most welcome. So, it's my understanding that my 5 times great-grandparents, Giles Hosier and Grace Newell, might be from Bonavista. That is correct. I grew up on a street called Newell Street. Yeah, full circle. Oh, I know that. I don't know if it has anything to do with Grace Newell. Wouldn't that be something? Yeah.
It would be kind of interesting to see if that had anything to do with it. It's quite possible if that was purchased by somebody in the family, it was passed down, and it wound up being the street that she lived on, because it was property that was already in the family. It's possible. Or just named after somebody.
Sounds like a retirement home to Palm Springs. Well, it might not have the weather of Palm Springs, but it's a lovely little town. It's where I grew up. The name, in fact, actually comes from the Italian explorer Giovanni Caboto, or John Cabot, was sailing across the Atlantic in 1497. And after over a month at sea, Cabot allegedly was so excited to have sighted land that he exclaimed in his native Italian, "Buena vista," or "oh, happy sight." So hence the town name is drawn from there.
The drive to Bonavista is over 3 hours. Catherine will have to wait till tomorrow for her first look at the place and 5 times great-grandparents called home.
I'm pleasantly surprised by Bonavista. It's more beautiful than I thought it would be. What can you tell me about my 5 times great-grandparents who lived here?
So Grace and Giles lived here, and this is a document explaining a bit about what they did here. Have a look.
Yeah. Bonavista. Originally something.
This room has one stage from the corner of the bridge. This is an excerpt from a survey of what were known as fishing rooms in Bonavista. Oh. And on the right-hand column, you're looking at a description of the fishing room that Grace and Giles owned. They owned a fishing room. What's a fishing room? So although we call it a room, think much bigger. These were usually owned by what we would call a merchant family who owned merchant premises and traded with the fishermen who would have used their room to
Okay, so good chance he is English.
to prepare their catch. Seems like a really hard job. And that was the main industry. Obviously, we're on a peninsula. It was all about the fishing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Newell's room. How come, if Grace is the lady, the fishing room was called Newell's room and not Giles Hosier room?
The fishing room had been in her family.
So he got to marry her and
Be married.
involved in her family business. Exactly. So fish was money. Wait,
Fish was money. Yeah, yeah.
I'll pay you 3 cod for this.
In order to preserve the fish for it to go to markets all over the world, they would salt it.
Why wouldn't they just eat fresh fish?
This is before freezing was an option, so this is their way of preserving the food to make sure that it was still edible months into the future.
And in the 1700s, they had an industry that they could preserve and then sell fish all over the world.
Right. So from this very harbor here that we're looking out on, fish would have been shipped all over the world.
I love this connections.
This industry dominated Newfoundland. Giles and Grace processed the fisherman's catch, then exported it. It was a trade in which fortunes could be won and just as easily lost. Summer storms could cause devastation, while in winter, temperatures plummeted. The fish were gutted and salted, then dried for weeks on platforms called flakes. Every time the weather turned, the fish had to be taken in, a labor-intensive process that remained virtually unchanged for centuries.
Things must have been pretty hard everywhere else for people to purposely want to come here in the snow and fish and dry fish and then eat salted fish to stay warm. And I cannot imagine how difficult it would have been for Giles and Grace and all the people who lived here in Bonavista, Newfoundland, to survive, to do their day-to-day fetching of things, visiting people, business. I just think they were so tough.
Giles and Grace had 7 children. Their home was in a central location in the town, reflecting their status. It once stood on this patch of land.
So in the next document, I'm going to show you an extract from the book, and it explains a little bit about what happened to Giles and Grace and their family in later years.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Hosier was well educated, a man of refined tastes and superior attainments, which qualities were transmitted to a large family of interesting sons and daughters. Having lived to see his happy family attain unto young manhood and womanhood, other days and other fortunes came. His son William, a promising youth of 19 years, had gone to St. John's to secure the fall's merchandise,
Goods to trade with the fishermen in the fall.
Okay. On his way home, the ship and cargo valued at several thousands of pounds was lost with all hands. So Giles' son William went out to get things to trade with the fishermen and then die. There was no insurance, and the loss spelled ruin to the Hosiers. Oh my gosh. So you get in one boating accident, your son died, and you lose absolutely everything.
A larger merchant might have been able to withstand this, but for the Hosiers, in their situation, this spelt ruin.
Oh.
She seemed too happy telling somebody that their family was just ruined because her 5th great grandfather he is, and 2 of his sons died all within the same month, one tragically on a boating accident. The historian there just looks a little too happy. I know she's not. It's just And it is something that passed long ago, but it's just, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I get excited when I find information about that might be mistaken as happiness when it's not.
In a few weeks, he died of a broken heart, followed by his other son. I would die of a broken heart too.
He's buried here in Bonavista. Would you like to see where he's buried?
Oh, yes, please.
Now that's one thing. If you go and visit these places, you can see the place like she was where they had lived and walked, and then the graveyard. I love old graveyards.
Catherine, we're now standing in the churchyard of Christ Church Anglican Church in Bonavista, and your 5 times great-grandfather Giles is buried here, first row towards the fence.
Good, bro. First row. Okay.
First row.
This one. That's it.
I've got a photo here for the gravestone, had a road into it. In memory of Giles Hosier, who died the 3rd of November, 1812. Also, William, son of the above, who was lost to 7th October. Also of Giles, another son of the above, Giles Hosier, who died on the 8th of December, 1812. So the 3 men died within a month of each other, almost to the day. That father.
2 months, isn't it?
So
I was just trying to figure it out. October.
I'll show you another document here. This is Giles' death notice from the newspaper at the bottom here.
Giles Hosier of Poole in the County Dorset, England, but late of Bonavista, Newfoundland. So he's from Dorset. I knew we were English at some point. Yeah.
Okay. Now, yeah, I like you see he's listed as a planter. So he had a plantation. Not really. He was running a fishing room in Newfoundland.
And I really love Dorset. I thought that I was going to be super English. I thought we'd go maybe 2 generations back, but now I know my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather is the one who was born in England and then came here. So actually, I'm a lot more Canadian than I thought, but still English.
Yeah, but more Canadian.
Giles Hosier is the one who first came to Canada. He had such a tragic ending, losing his son and losing his livelihood and then losing his own life. Now I know how far back my family actually goes in Canada. I can take back that story to my daughter, Violet, and say, I am a little bit English, just like you. I told my mom everything about my 5 times great-grandparents. I told her we're Bonavista, and she wanted to sing you a song. It's a really old Canadian song about old-time life in Bonavista, and apparently every Canadian my mother's age knows it. Pretty sweet jam. Hi, Mom. Will you sing that song again? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's hey.
Yeah, I know it.
My family spent, 230 years in Canada? And then I brought us home.
Newfoundland was more beautiful. Come on. You even had snow.
I'm so excited to be back in England. It really feels like home. I do like it. It's gray. I like that. It makes your eyes pop. It's wet. That's very good for your skin. We are in Poole, Dorset, to see how far back I can trace my English ancestry.
To help her in her task, Catherine is meeting local historian Di Watkins.
Mommy must be down.
Yeah, I thought Di was going to be a woman.
Hello, Catherine.
Diana.
To learn from you today.
Oh, it's like, come on through.
Di, what can you tell me about my 5 times great-grandfather, Giles Hosier, and his life in Poole?
Poole at the time that Giles Hosier was living there was a very thriving business place, very much to do with the Newfoundland trade. Fish. Yeah. It was for at least 100 years it dominated the scene in Poole and made many people extremely rich. And Giles was in quite a wealthy family, not the...
Yes!
Yes.
I really need an inheritance at some point in this. Good.
And he went out to Newfoundland as the agent for one of the chief merchants. They had money. They had money.
Good.
Well, something of that I can show you from this document, which is...
So he went in, okay, so he went as an agent for one of the merchants, and then he became a merchant himself, or took over his, I guess, his the wife's family's fishing room. Interesting.
I, Elizabeth Hosier, of the town of the county of Poole, being weak of body, of sound and disposing mind, do make and ordain this is my last will and testament. Who's Elizabeth Hosier? Giles' mother?
Well, let's have a look. And you read that line there.
Also, I give unto my grandson, Giles Hosier, son of William Hosier. So, this is his grandmother.
That's right, yes.
My clock and clock case. Cases. He gets a clock?
He gets a cloak and a cake.
Okay. So, Giles Hosier is Elizabeth Hosier's grandson. And he's the son of William. So William is my 6 times great-grandfather, and Elizabeth Hosier is my 7 times great-grandmother.
Yep.
And she gives out clocks.
She does.
Time's up. Here's a clock.
She had a lot of people to leave things too. She had a lot of children.
Oh, of course, yeah, they all had so many children.
Yeah. We have this document which was rather earlier and a bit more difficult to read. That's right.
Okay.
The beginning is quite good.
It's another will.
Yep.
This is the last will and testament of Mr. Nicholas Cobb. And who's Nicholas Cobb?
Look at this line here.
Okay. I give and bequeath unto my daughter Elizabeth. So Elizabeth Hosier is the daughter of Nicholas Cobb.
Yes.
So that means Nicholas Cobb is my 8 times great-grandfather.
It does indeed.
All right. And do you know anything about Nicholas Cobb?
One thing we do know about Nicholas Cobb from the will is at the very beginning. Nicholas Cobb.
Of Orf Castle.
Yeah.
So he has a castle.
No.
Oh.
Corfe Castle is named for a village in which there is a castle.
Okay. It's gone very far back. Di.
It has indeed, yes.
I'm impressed.
You didn't get to be history president in this museum by accident.
I'm not quite sure that's exactly my title, but it sounds good.
I like Di.
Has traced her ancestry deep into English history. Her 8 times great-grandfather, Nicholas Cobb's will of 1739, shows he lived in the village of Corfe Castle. To find out about his life here, Catherine and Di have come to one of the local pubs.
Okay, Cat. Well, look at this stuff.
1701.
1701 is going up a forward.
Nicholas Cobb
Mm-hmm.
of the borough of Corfe Castle hath spoken of work fraudulent.
Fraudulent. They wrote us here.
Oh, no.
Carry on.
And scurrilous words of Thomas.
Froze and Thomas Shannon. What it's saying is that he has been called to account for having spoken diverse, fraudulent and scurrilous words.
Slagging people. Let me read the manuscript. This happens to me all the time. This is absolutely understandable. What is a life without slagging people off?
I love how she is putting things in very simple terms, in modern terms. and she's taking this all with grace.
You call it that. But, sometimes being a little bit libelous is a whole lot of fun. Okay, let's see what happens here. Nicholas Cobb of this borough of Porth Castle hath spoken diverse fraudulous and scurrilous words of Thomas Frost Esquire and Thomas Shangway Esquire, 2 of the magistrates.
He slagged off the legal officers themselves.
It was probably the worst people he could have killed.
So bring him back to be by him bound over with sufficient sureties to appear at the next general quarter sessions of the peace. Bail, Bonston.
Yeah, I think that's what that is showing is that it's something that the state is going to manage. He has the ability to put up the bail money.
Kneeling.
So it's not a case, it was not the class of person that would simply throws you to prison. Like Catherine, here the next document is one we've seen before, but now it tells us a bit more.
Oh, it's the will and testament of my 8 times great-grandfather, Nicholas Spot.
Sit, yep.
I give and bequeath unto my granddaughter my large furnace and mashing tub.
Why is he passing on a furnace and a mashing tub?
It sounds to me that he was brewing beer. Mashing tub certainly is part of the brewing process. And we have another document which could support that. So this is an indenture.
So like an agreement.
Yeah. And they tore the document into 2. And if at a later time there was dispute as to what had been agreed, then they could keep the 2 parts.
Early security key.
See.
That's a good idea, so there can be no forgery. These pieces match. Oh, I like that.
So your art there is signed Nicholas Cobb.
So Nicholas Cobb made a very important agreement.
You never know what creativity will hit. With the Adobe Stock Unlimited plan, you're always
Nicholas Cobb for the tenure of 1 whole year by indenture by force of the statute for transferring property called or known by the name or sign of the ship situated being in Rugby Castle aforesaid now in the tenure or occupation of him.
The satellite makes this go. So that's his property. Known as the ship.
So he didn't have a house, he lived on ship.
He had a house as well.
Oh, but this is an agreement about the ship.
It's about putting that together with the evidence for his brewing could bring us to the conclusion that he had a pub, tavern called the Ship. This document is so he can sublet to him for a year. Right. So we have the ship. In or castle. And now we have a map dated to the middle of 1870. Each of these plots had a number. So it was start off there.
Say the Wall Gardens, Henry Saunders shop, Salt, the ship.
And that is number 4.
I was never very good at reading maps. 28, 2019, 17, 18, 8, 2, 4.
4. Right, excellent.
I just find the ship.
Yes. This man.
Great location.
It's a stop ship.
Just at the
Yeah, the Chelsea was a Lowe's.
Nicholas Puff's house.
Yeah. The Nicholas Cobb's house, and what's the number?
112.
112. Okay. So we've got a 4, we've got a 112.
Watch my map skills. Finally.
Already found the 4.
Down
Down there,
132. Oh my goodness, he lives almost just across the road. If this is the castle and this is that big square where we just came in,
Yeah.
is this his house?
Well, not his house. It is the ship.
The ship.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is this is a very old pub then. Oh my gosh.
It is your ancestral place.
Wow. So I should work for free.
Would you like to see where it is?
Yes, please. I'll see it out the window.
No, that's the door, actually, front door.
Noticed he didn't answer that.
The ship changed its name 150 years after Nicholas Cobb died. According to the map, his house should be just across the road.
This way, and opposite the pub.
Yeah. Okay.
You.
Be right here.
Voila.
So this was my 8 times great-grandfather, Nicholas Cobb's cottage.
That's where he lived.
He did well to have any property at all. And a business. Seems like a really good life.
Yeah. A prominent resident. Don't sound to be dedicated and standard with people.
I think they deserved it. Maybe he cut them off. He said, "You've had enough to drink," and they made out lies about him.
Gone up from the pub.
So he was already dead when this map was made, but how come it's still called Nicholas Cobb's house?
Well, houses weren't numbered like they are now. In those days, much smaller population, and it would be named after the prominent person that lived it. In this case, Nicholas Cobb.
Oh, so it remained the Nicholas Cobb house probably for a really long time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is really neat. And that's the neat thing about England and Scotland. You have these buildings that you very well could be still standing. These stone buildings that your ancestors lived in. Very little change necessarily on the outside. I'm sure as that we saw the inside of the pub, that's not the way it looked like when Nicholas had it in the early 1700s.
No, Maurice.
Are those clay shingles? It might be. It's neat.
My daughter Violet gives me a hard time about not being English. Well, now I can tell her I am English and from a castle no less. She won't know it's a village, but won't tell it.
She watches this show, though.
It's really reassuring to find that when I feel at home in England, it's because in a way, I'm bringing my ancestry back. My grandmother and I were so close. My mom's mom and I were like little buddies. When my grandmother was dying, I was a teenager and I wouldn't really go to the hospital. I didn't want to see her like that. I was just sort of like angry and avoidant. I just wouldn't go. And she rang me when she was dying and she said, will you say to me, "I love you, Dolly Lou"? Because that's what her parents used to call her. And I said, because I just thought it sounded ridiculous and I didn't really want her to die. But she died anyway, of course. And so this is lovely to have done because this is sort of an "I love you, Dolly Lou" thing that I could do for my grandma because she really wanted us to talk more about her family. And now we've done.
So that, kind of tells you as much as you plan, much things you might be thinking. You have to be ready for these surprises and ready for your genealogy to take you places you don't expect. Whether you physically go there or not, that's completely different. But often you might start searching, thinking that you're looking for somebody in Ireland, and you're expecting to get there a lot sooner. And you do realize that, well, now you have to start searching in Newfoundland for more records. And they spent a few generations in Newfoundland. So you, before you can get back over to across the Atlantic, you have to dig a little bit more to make those connections. So overall, it was a good story. I don't know what you guys think of it. Leave it in comments if there's something you'd like to see me do again. And when I did do the search, there were a few different people that came up with that had who do you think you are episodes, and they found out they had ancestry that was related to Atlantic Canada. So it's something I might take on again if there's interest. So let me know. Remember to like this video, and I wanted to just sort of talk to the people here that are wanting to make their own discoveries like this. It's actually not as hard as it sometimes can seem, and though sometimes it can be actually a lot harder than you might think. It's not as easy as just going and clicking on links in Ancestry as their advertisements make it sometimes, or even as this show makes it like everything connects neatly. There's often a lot of research that goes into it. Having a plan, learning how to do that, learning how to not get discouraged and when something in your plan you can't make that connection, learning how to rethink your plan and redirect your efforts is something that's important. That's one of the reasons I'm starting my group where I'm going to have 30 individuals that I'm going to be mentoring personally with some training, group training, and ongoing coaching to help them develop a plan and start researching their family history and continue the researching their family history to pick up, not to stumble when they hit brick walls, not to think of them as brick walls are not necessarily roadblocks, that they're just an obstacle you have to get around, and sometimes getting around it is easier than trying to go through it. No matter what you do, no matter if you do opt into my program, I will be giving you some free advice on researching and finding your family history, and maybe getting over some of those brick walls that you are encountering if you're currently researching. And the reason I'm doing this is because I honestly do believe that every family has a story, and every story is worth telling. And I really do want to help you be able to tell your family story. So keep searching for your ancestors, and until next time, have a great day.